people look at me like I'm some sort of superhero, and I don't feel like I am. But if that's what they see me as, I want to just try to be the best image of that as I can be,
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it gives me a good direction, to think that someone, okay, maybe someone out there is looking up to me as a role model. It's like, well, now I need to tighten up, I need to do a little bit better.
Yeah.
You sit down, dig it. You sit down, dig it.
Scotty, you are a character. You're the best kind of character. I watch you all the time. Folks, welcome back to UnWoKeN, the number one podcast in the world for young conservative media, and that's a fact. My facts, of course, the only ones that matter anyway. Here today with Mr. Sam Primeaux. If you don't know who Sam is, you've probably seen him on Facebook. So, Sam, tell us a little bit about the story, man.
At 17, right out of high school, I went and bought a street bike. Lasted all but like 6 weeks. Coming home one night, I was riding home, hit a little patch of rain, and older guy was coming in the opposite lane. I guess just didn't see me. So he cut me off to turn onto his road. I slid about 20 feet, hit the truck. And whenever I hit the truck, I dove into the concrete. So basically, I dived into a pool. I had a full face helmet, got shattered off. I broke 3 of my vertebrae, shattered my vertebrae, punctured my spinal cord, leaving me with paralysis about chest level down. And then broke my arm, femur, rotor, the whole 9 yards. But with the vertebrae puncturing my spinal cord, that's what ended up with the paralysis. So initially with this type of injury, doctors are saying, well, you could basically expect to live your life in a wheelchair. And I was not accepting that from the get-go. I was like, man, I'm 17. You can't convince me I'd never be able to figure out how to walk again. Like I was in so much pain. I mean, I still am to today. Like the nerve pain, the tingliness if your arm falls asleep, I feel that down to my toes. So I'm like, how can I be in so much pain, but there's nothing to regain from this? Like I don't understand it. So, and I'm very thankful for having that mindset and attitude towards it, because through years of trial, tribulations, a bunch of work, a couple rounds of stem cells, I'm starting to see some super significant signs of growth. So I'm working my way out of this wheelchair to climb Pikes Peak and try to become the next David Goggins, but just a little bit better.
Holy shit, man. How do you wake up every morning like that? Just because a lot of people at 17 years old would view this, or anybody at any age would view what happened to you and say, why me?
Oh, every day I used to do that, bro. I'd wake up miserable. But lately it's been a lot different. Well, I say that the past few years been much different. So originally, whenever I'd wake up, bro, it was miserable. I mean, there've been days I'd wake up and piss or shit, and there's nothing you could do. So imagine waking up as a 17, 18-year-old full of piss, bro. You know how bad of a start that is? You're mad at the world. Like, I hate everybody, and I just wish that it couldn't, or I wish that I could reverse it, or that it wasn't me. And I was so resentful, man. I hated, like, the guy who cut me off. I was like, man, I wish he'd die, or I wish this or that. And then as I kind of got older, I was like, well, that wouldn't really fix me. It wouldn't help me. It wouldn't make me feel any better if he was hurt. So I kind of started to erase that thought process. And it's like, well, okay, I could look at it 2 ways. I mean, there's many ways you look at it, but this is how I like to look at it. I look at the optimism side or the pessimism side. Pessimism is where you're like, okay, but I have all these obstacles in front of me. But the optimistic side is like, ooh, but what can we learn from these? What can we learn from these obstacles? What can we break down and regrow? So I like to look at every morning, like I wake up thankful. I wake up like appreciative. I'm like, okay, cool. Woke up, the AC's still kicking. The house ain't burnt down, so it could be worse. So I like to start the day off with a little bit of thanks. I get up, take a shit, shower, shave, get ready for the day, and shit. My ideal time to wake up is about 1, 2 in the morning. If I could wake up, be at the gym before 3, that's like a golden day for me. Because I could train with a lot less distractions. I love to talk to people, and I'm ADHD, so it's like once I get off track, it's so hard for me to get back on. But the more that my leg workouts started to intensify and my spasms would wake me up, bro, it's like for whenever whenever I started going to regular rails, this was like a year and a half ago. The reason it started, I would have spasms so bad they would wake me up in the middle of the night. But one time I had spasms so bad I woke up on the fucking floor, bro. I thought I was going to walk again. I was like, is today the day? No, I was on the floor. I was pissed, though. But anyway, you wake up with spasms. And so I'm like, all right, I'm waking up in pain. What do? I looked at the clock. It was like 12:45, 1 o'clock. I'm like, bro, okay. So I was like, you know what? They want to spasm. They want to jump around. We can go to the fucking gym. Give them something to jump around to. I go to the gym that I was training at Club for Fitness, bro. The little key scanner was broken. I was like, dude, it's like 1:30 in the morning at this time. I just took my pre-workout. Like, I'm rolling. I'm like, what do? I can't go back to bed. I call the one friend, my buddy Will. I'm like, hey, bro, you up? He's like, getting up, about to go to Reds. I'm like, all right, I'll meet you there. So I met him there and started working out. And then later in the day, he introduced me to Mr. Red. And I got to looking into the story of Mr. Red. And fun fact for him, he's in his 80s now. He's like 86. But this man has built his gym the past 60 years. This dude would wake up and ride his bicycle to the gym, bro. At 2 in the morning, unlock that door. And I was like, dude, there's no way. One time I got there, it was like 150, 155. Sure enough, little old Red come riding his little bicycle, come unlock the door. I was like, that's respect. So I looked into his story, and that's one of the things he said is like, once you find that you create a routine and you create sustainability within it, and you do that routine, watch what you can build. You know, it's like whenever you find that one thing that you like or you want to strive for, and you consistently do it every day, you could see the change. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with Red's one of the best gyms in the world, bro, because he's worked on that one thing for 60 years. So in my thought process, I'm like, okay, I want to recover. This is the most impossible feat that these doctors are telling me. Well, how can I do that? Well, if I go to the gym every day and go try to work my legs out, that might make them stronger. So I started to get into that routine. So it's like, if I start the day off training, I can get the first few hours of the day with minimal people. I mean, bro, it's like people don't start rolling into the gym until like 4 or 5. So it's first few hours of nobody to talk to besides the ghosts and the couple old cats that I made friends with along the way. It's nice because I can really focus and lock in and think of all those things, those insecurities that we were talking about, like things I don't like about myself. Okay, well, here's a machine to help me fix it. Yeah. Let me go do it 1,000 times. And it's been my superpower, I think, honestly, like just being able to figure that out and adapt to it as so young. Because I mean, dude, I'm 23, bro. My partners that are up at 2 in the morning or leaving the bar are like, man, what are you doing? I'm going to work out, bro. Oh man, you want to come to this after party? Like, no, I'm going to be at Reds. That's where I'm going at 2 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be a really big superpower because it sets me apart, you know. And they got people in there, the most successful people in my city that I've met, they're in there at 3 in the morning and they say, I've been doing this 20 years. Okay, well, what's going to look like when I do it for 20 years, you know? Mm-hmm. But a lot of them, they get kind of baffled. They're like, wait, you're how old? And you do this by choice? I'm like, I set alarm. Yes, sir. Yeah. They think I'm crazy, but if I'm crazy, the world needs more crazy people like me.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you? Because you drove up to my house and you didn't even need no help doing nothing. You just grabbed your chair, you threw on the wheels. I thought you had to screw those things on, man. You just tossed them things on, cat, and you hopped in the wheelchair and you said, let's go.
Ready to roll.
And you, dude, I was saying, need me to help you lift the thing up, and you already had that thing tilted back, like you. So how long did it take for you to become so self-independent?
So the biggest strides of independence, I think, really started probably 2.5 years in. So thankfully, after I got home from the hospital, I enrolled into college. I got into SLCC because I was like, man, I used to do landscaping and cutting grass. Like, I can't do that anymore. How do I make money? So my creative outlet, I like to draw. I used to like to draw houses. So I was like, man, I want to go do AutoCAD, which is a program to, design houses and floor plans, whatnot. So I went to school and started doing that. And so my grandfather would come and he'd give me in the morning. We'd go to therapy. Then I'd go to school. And then at the time I started working out is whenever I started going to Planet Fitness. And then I started working there. So, dude, he'd come pick me up. We'd go to therapy, school, and then go to the gym, work out, and then work all day. So once I started to build that little routine, I was like, oh, shit, this is the bee's knees, bro. When you find a routine that works for you and you can consistently do it, that's when things started to wake up. It's like my body started changing a little bit, started looking a little bit better in the mirror, and that confidence started coming because at first, bro, the confidence got crushed after the wreck. It's like I didn't want to be in a room full of my friends because I just felt like I wasn't me. So once I built that confidence, I was like, oh, man, how do I make this more efficient? Like, I love my grandpa, but I hate to make him drive an hour. He lives in Carencro, so he drive, so much every day. I'm like, how do I start driving? So I had a friend, Nathan, at the gym at Planet Fitness when I was training there. He was a paralyzed bodybuilder. He said, well, you want to drive? Look, come hop in my car. And this dude let me drive around the neighborhood in his car with the handicap controls. And that was the first time I was like, dude, this is fucking crazy. This is cool. It's sketchy, but I like it. So I was like, okay, what do we do? So we had a little family car, like an old SUV, Envoy. It's kind of like a Tahoe, but it's GMC. And dude, my dad, whenever he was like, all right, well, you think you're strong enough to sit and drive safely? Like, let's see if you can get in the car. Dude, I sat and tried to get in that car for like 30 minutes, bro. I broke down crying. By the time I fought my way to get into the SUV, because it's a couple feet off the ground, and get in, it's like I was already dumping sweat, bro. I'm exhausted, and now I got to bring this whole chair in. So, dude, that was about impossible. I freaking broke down and started crying. I was like, I can't. I'll never be able to drive again. So then I met my friend Shannon. That's my basketball coach at the time. he had a Buick LaCrosse or something. He drove a car, but he's like, yeah, man, look, you bust down, you take down the wheels like this, and you lean your seat back. He put his wheelchair in the back seat. I'm like, I can't do that. But I was like, okay, so what do I do? So I got to looking, and I found a Cadillac. So I got an STS, and man, I love it because it's a car, because it's low to the ground, but it's still wide. Like Cadillac's got the wide interior, so I can still maneuver, move the chair in and out. And I mean, at this point, I'm close to the 3-year in mark, so I built up plenty enough strength to be able to handle it. So because the chair is only like 30 or 35 pounds, so once you're able to comfortably move that, it's not so bad. And as you saw the scratches on my car, bro, it took freaking hundreds of times getting that thing in and out to figure it out, because bro, I'd be bumping the horn or hitting my face on the chair. And but yeah, probably about the 3-year mark, I'd say, somewhere in that neighborhood is where I really got independent. But I mean, from the jump, I tried to be as independent as I could. Granted, I'm living with my parents, and I could only maneuver, the upper 20-25% of my body. So I had to figure out, okay, well, how do I not do this? So that was the biggest challenge, was trying to figure out the day-to-day living. Because, dude, at first, I mean, for instance, whenever you're paralyzed, you have to use a catheter to pee, right? A little straw you put in. And at first, when I was coming home from TIR, that was the hospital in Houston, they're like, all right, we have to teach you how to use a catheter so you can pee. I'm like, dude, I'm not sticking a tube down my dick. I'm just not doing it. And they're like, look, either you can learn how to do it, or we're going to teach your dad how to do it. And I was like, I'm not having my dad pee for me every time I got to go. So figured that out, and figured out the bathroom and everything like that. And I was like, well, shit. So I come home, and dude, it was a culture shock, because it was like all my friends are there. They're all living their lives, partying, vacationing. We just graduated high school. Everybody's about to go cut up and start learning how to live. And I just got completely sidelined. It's like you just put me mentally back into, we'll call it like 3rd grade. I felt like, it's like my independence came because I felt like I was lacking so much. And all my friends, they weren't making me feel like this, but it's like I think I was kind of subconsciously doing it. I was like, well, if they can do it, why can't I? So I started to figure out, like, okay, if they can go out into the bonfires, how can I? And obviously driving is a huge part of it. The fitness I'm so thankful for, because it allowed me to get that edge up and be able to overcompensate and maneuver and push through the field to get to the bonfire and do the stuff that we don't really think about, because we take so much for granted, because this is so instinctual. Just if you stood up right now, you wouldn't think about it, but there's like 20 commands you have to tell different muscles to activate in a certain sequence for us to stand up. So it's like now having to rethink of that, it's like, holy shit, now I have to learn independence from a new perspective, but it's one that I once lived. So it's so weird.
So how long? So over time, you started off with how much percentage of your body could you use after the wreck?
I'd probably call it like 25%. We'll give it, because I mean my arms always worked, like my chest worked, my upper back worked, because like my injury level was like probably an inch under my nipples where things started to get tingly. So I had full range of my chest and such. But at first, bro, it was so hard. One, because of all the hardware in my back that they made me wear like a little cast. It's like a freaking Ninja Turtle suit. It's like a big cast that would go around your whole torso to where make sure all the screws and stuff heal properly. So it's like I couldn't even sit up for, I'd probably give it a month, maybe 6 weeks, somewhere in that neighborhood. I couldn't even sit up on the side of the bed by myself. So eventually, as I was able to, or as I healed enough to where they took the cast off, we were able to start sitting up. And me, bro, from the get-go, I was like, teach me how to walk. That's what I want. I want to walk. And they're like, well, you don't have any muscles turning on to walk, so we're going to just teach you how to use this wheelchair. And, bro, that shit was so weird, because I didn't have any core. So trying to roll a wheelchair, but when you get to that final push, now your body's up here. So I would be like falling and stumbling so much, just trying to figure out how to roll in a straight line. So I'm like, dude, how am I going to maneuver doing this? And thankfully, like I said, like that's whenever the gym started to really pay off, was whenever I started to notice like my core and my back getting stronger, because now my everyday living is much easier. Like it wasn't as hard to push and sitting around. Like when I initially came out of the hospital, the chair they gave you, it has a little armrest. So I would, I was really dependent on the armrest. Like I literally couldn't text or get a sip of my water without leaning on one side. So I was like, man, this isn't the way I need to operate. And my dad would always kind of give me shit. He's like, you posture, sit straight, because I'm always sitting cockeyed and I couldn't feel it. So it's like, I didn't know. I was just sitting. So he's like, you know what, look, let's take the armrest off. So I took them off. And so, bro, that was so sketchy, because like if I'm used to these little armrests, if I go a little too much, I thought I was going to flip out the chair. But it taught me like, okay, now you got to compensate. Now you don't have these little safety nets. So you better figure it out. And my body, I like to put my body in a fight or flight response mode for a lot of stuff, because you're either gonna do it or you're gonna fall. So my body doesn't like to fall. So it's like I started to learn a lot quicker doing things like that. And then, strengthening my back. Like everybody gets crazy amped up by the pull-ups, but my back's so strong because initially, dude, I was working my back like 3 times a week, because when I started to get my back stronger, like my lower lats and stuff, that's when I said, oh, I can lean up, I can maneuver a little bit more without being scared of falling. Okay, I'm drilling it, dude. I would hit back, like I said, like 3 times a week for at least a year and a half, like consistently. And some people are like, man, your back's crazy. And I'm like, thanks. I put thousands of reps into it. Like, I had to work on my back. But thankfully, once the back started to get stronger, everything else started to click together. And I mean, being in the gym so long and learning so much stuff kind of started to even out the physique and made life 10 times easier.
Well, somebody wanted to say hi to you, too. You know Kevin at Club for Fitness?
My boy, yeah. He's actually going to be teaching me how to pose this weekend. So I'm going to be doing a bodybuilding competition in August. And being that it's so short notice, they weren't able to throw together a wheelchair division, but they're like, bro, we could make it happen. Like, we'll get you on the stage if you want. I'm like, you know what? I definitely want to, but I'm not going to be the only guy out there in a wheelchair. Like, I'm just going to go out with the walker and stand out with the men's physique, the big dogs. Mm-hmm. So Kevin's going to teach me Saturday. We're going to work on some posing with the walker, because, I mean, I've done a little bit of posing, like while I'll do my stand-ups and stuff at the gym. I'll kind of hit a quick flex, but I've never done a posing routine. Like, I don't even know how. So I'm super excited to see what Kevin can teach me, but dude's a savage, so I think I'm in good hands with that one.
Do you mind if I ask you something more personal in terms of, we talked about relationships, like the sex aspect. Do you feel whenever you get hard?
Yes and no. Okay, so it's so weird with
I hate that.
Like, you're all.
We're not going to include this part.
Oh, we could. I don't give a fuck. The ladies need to know, bro. They're curious. So, but anyway,
hey,
so
he's single, ladies.
Yeah, hey, I'm single and ready to mingle. But anyway, yeah. So sex, it doesn't feel the same. So it's like the sensation I get whenever I have to like pee or something. It's a similar feeling. It's like, oh shit, something going on my dick. So it's like, hey, is it hard? Is it, man, am I having to pee? What's going on down there? But after the stem cells, that's kind of helped awaken it up too. And I've been doing more training like on my bowels and bladder, because that's one thing people don't think about. It's like, dude, you have to retrain your bladder. That's a muscle. So when I initially got wrecked, it's like, bro, I'd be peeing every freaking 10 minutes like a little kid, because I don't know how to neurologically tell my bladder, hey, hold in. Same principle goes with, getting your dick hard. It's like, you have to tell that thing, hey, cat, look, do your job. So now I have to relearn all these muscles, and like, it's going to be funny, but Kegels are one thing that's what's actually helping strengthen all that. So with Kegels, it's like if you're peeing and you have to just stop midstream because somebody's come walk up or whatever, that's the muscle you're using to stop your pee stream, which is what you use to hold in your bladder. So learning how to utilize and turn that on also helps with the erection side of things. And I mean, dude, I'll take Viagra like a multivitamin. I don't give a fuck, So, yeah. And if she's cute enough, I don't even really need it, but it definitely helps. And it makes it a little more fun. And then another commonly asked question, girls are like, so like, do you need me to get on top? I'm like, girl, I work out for 3 hours a day for fun. You really think I'm not scared to get on top? Like, I can do my thing.
Those arms, man.
Yeah, like I can hold my body weight up for a good little while. I'm cool on that. It's frustrating though. It takes a while because it's a lack of sensation, so it's a lot more work. But it's worth it. All in a day's work,
Yeah, man. Shit, bro. I mean, see, that's something that I'm sure a lot of people have questions about, and I don't know if that's ever been asked.
A couple times. That's actually how homegirl Haley, whenever she was like our first conversation, she was like, so like, does it work? I'm like, shit, you trying to find out? So usually whenever a female asks me if it works, I'm like, okay, so it's one of those conversations. Like, yeah, we can go get dinner too. You can find out for yourself,
Yeah, yeah. At least wine and dine me first.
Yeah. Y'all just trying to go straight to it. Like, I'm not some cheap meat girl. You got to pay for this.
Yeah, this ain't no free ride.
Yeah, go call Ruth Chris, make a reservation, then we can talk after we do that.
Listen to the man. Gentlemen, that's how you know your value.
Yeah, why are y'all out here paying for these girls' food? Like, how about you just be a G, work on yourself, and make her pay for the food, and it's starting to work.
Listen to Andrew Tate. The top G.
The top G. Nah, I'm just top gorilla.
I like Andrew Tate, man. I mean, I
love the controversy around it. I mean, I don't know if, like, with all the most recent stuff, like, I don't know if they've figured out if it's true or not.
I don't think it's true whatsoever.
It seems so far-fetched. And I feel like if it were true, like, he'd be under bars, I would think.
Yeah, and in a Romanian prison at that, you know how easily manipulated those small governments are? What? Not small governments, the small country governments.
Yeah.
They can be easily manipulated to where you hear about his living conditions. And look, if it did come out to where it was true, I'd completely disavow it. But from a experience of listening to the guy, I can't see it being true. Just I see him causing, like he says, a glitch in the matrix, and actually telling young men and getting them to get in that mindset of how it is and how you should be and where you need to get to, and that you all have all this in you, all this top genius in you. People don't like that because look at what they're doing to men nowadays. They're trying to pussify
I was just
our
about to
generation,
say,
dude. That's what they're trying to do. They want to pussify things. They don't want to see somebody like you come up from where you're at and tell everybody who's in that situation that you can fucking do it just like I can. They don't want that.
That's a
as
fact.
fucked up as it sounds.
That's what it is.
But that's a fact of our reality.
Oh, dude, it's so fucked. I mean, they've gotten so accustomed to pre-programming us into all these ways of thinking. Like, from one thing, in my personal opinion, I read, the Rich Dad Poor Dad by Rob Kiyosaki or whatever, and he talks a lot about this, like getting out the rat race. And I feel like the more I've watched a lot of Andrew Tate stuff, and he talks about this a lot. It's like they're training you to get accustomed to being locked in for 8 hours a day, for sitting at a desk, for doing all these things. And me personally, I was never good in school. I hated it because I like to move. I need to be stimulating myself within my mind or how I'm moving. So to just sit there and aimlessly stare at someone and trust what they're saying and be able to recite it, I never found any value from it. I mean, granted, you learn plenty of good stuff in school, whatever, but I feel like they're definitely teaching the younger generations how to follow the script that they're writing for you. And I feel like Andrew Tate is one of those guys that's like out here talking about, this is your fucking movie, you write the script, and people don't like that. Hollywood doesn't like that. I mean, the government doesn't like it. We can get as controversial as they want, but I feel like, especially on the medical side of things, I've experienced enough to where I can confidently talk about and say, I don't think it's as far-fetched as people think. A healed patient is a lost client. And I think about that often, bro, because, I mean, if it wasn't true, why wouldn't stem cells be more broadcasted? Why wouldn't all these regenerative therapies be more talked about? Why wouldn't all these therapies be pushed more? Like, bro, I got to beg and plead and fight for just to go to the fucking physical therapy? Like, that's, I think, bullshit, but that's just the game we're playing.
So I can't say anything about the vaccine because that's the one time my channel's been threatened to be completely demolished. So I call it the Rougarou juice.
Hey, Zuckerberg don't like that.
No, they don't like that. Neither does YouTube. But one thing I will say is I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any means. And people hear conspiracy on both sides and say, well, how can you call something a conspiracy theory? Well, here's my thing. The one thing I will honestly say that I believe is there's no way in hell that they don't have a cure for cancer. No way in hell they don't have a cure for AIDS. No way in hell they don't have a cure for helping anybody with spinal disc problems either. We are this advanced as a society, and we don't have all these cures to help. Like you said, a lost patient is lost money in that situation. Now, we could that would be a whole fucking podcast.
We could jump into a rabbit hole of that.
That we'd have to go to Patreon or Rumble for that.
I got Rumble. I'm cool with it. I'm here for it.
We'd have to go to that streaming site for that. But that's my take on all of that nonsense. I just think that we're too advanced as a society to not have the cures.
Oh yeah, the technology is way too advanced for you to convince me that y'all have never figured this out. Like, but I think about it this way: it's like, what's the incentive to heal everybody? Well, now you have more independent people, and in theory, the more independent someone is, the less they need someone else. So I think a lot of people nowadays, this generation especially, it's like we're led to believe like, okay, the government's got us. It's cool. Like when Trump was in office or whatever, and they gave us those what was it called? The checks, the stimulus checks. So a lot of people were so amped up, but in my head, I mean, I'm a little pissant. I don't know much, but I'm like, you're just pumping out free money. Free money ain't free. And I understood that, but I took mine to the stock market. Like I won a few, lost a few. I was like, bro, it's free money. I'm gambling with it. I'm gonna learn how to stock trade. I didn't learn very good, but like I said, I had a couple wins. So, but I'm like, well, we'll probably not really experience too much of a setback from it. It's like now that we're seeing it, bro. It's like, especially as a business owner, I see the cost everywhere. It's globally affected us. I mean, I've manufacturers in Pakistan that our dollar's worth, whatever to them. Now it's worth less. So now I'm paying more. And now my customer's like, well, why are your shirts more? Well, it costs more to get made. And I want quality. So I'm not going to pump out the same bullshit for an upcharge. I'm going to just take a little bit of loss in the profit margin. Because, I mean, I want to be next to Nike. I don't want to be the next Goodwill brand. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely taking a big hit like that. And I mean, for the day-to-day living, with steak, like for a while, bro, I was eating steak and rice. That was a religion to me. It's like that's why I found to really put on some weight for me, because it was a struggle trying to gain weight and gain size. And so steak and rice, bro, I started getting that. It was perfect. Now it's like, it went from a $20 pack of 4 steaks to now it's like $40-something. So guess we're back on chicken and rice.
Yeah. I mean, it's not free market capitalism anymore at this point. It's government indoctrinated capitalism, and the way we fix things is get back to free market capitalism. The government bailouts from all these banks, let the banks fail. Let them fail. That's capitalism. The next guy's going to step up.
Right.
You shouldn't have to go get your clothes manufactured in Pakistan or China.
You should be able to do it in the States.
Be able to do it in the United States. Look at the 1950s. The 1950s, yeah, Americans made minimum wage. A lot of them did, but still they made enough money to be able to live on.
Right.
You're 23, I'm 28. I can honestly sit there and say, if you're between that age range and living on your own, that's a flex.
Yeah.
That's a major flex. I mean, interest rates, man. Look at this shit. I read something the other day. A $350,000 house with interest, you'll be really paying $600,000.
Oh yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. I mean, I understood interest in the whole concept. So whenever I went and did my first round of stem cells, at that time I was just learning about credit. Built up my credit, and I was working at Planet Fitness. So I was making, maybe $1,000 a month altogether. Nothing crazy, but I was like, okay, cool. I've been real good with the bank. He likes me. I got a good credit score. Okay, cool. What can I do with it? Started learning about stem cells. I was like, well, I don't have $10,000 to pull out of my back pocket. What do I do? A credit. So I went and got a credit card, and with Care Credit, they gave me the credit line. Went to the first round of stem cells. Cool deal. I paid it off within the year. And I didn't read the fine print. It's like, okay, no interest for a year. Then after the year, I think it's like 28 or 29% row. So I paid off the first one, no big deal. Went to the second round of stem cells, cool. Was paying it down, and then I didn't think about that interest. I was like, okay, it's free interest, whatever, cool, keep going. Dude, when I looked at my account a couple months ago, it's like it went up $1,800 and some change, because it wasn't the interest on the amount that it was owed. It was the amount taken out. So I was like, oh, great. So, I got hit with that. And then the more I'm looking at all these cards and stuff, like I get shit in the mail all the time, for credit cards or whatever. I'm like, y'all are legally fucking people without lube with these rates, bro. Like 29% rate. What? But a lot of these younger kids, because I talk to a lot of younger people in the gym, and they're, man, I get this much credit, this and that. Like, look, bro, read the fine print. I had to bite that bullet. So look, I'm trying to inform anyone else. Look, please do your due diligence and research before taking money from anything or anyone, because once you get in that hole, that's whenever people start drowning, I feel like, because a lot of us, I mean, shit, you're making your minimum payments, you're just paying the interest. So a lot of people that are out here like struggling, working, fucking some of them 2 or 3 jobs just to live, is because you're paying off the interest from a bank that already used your money to invest, and it already made its profit before it even gave it to you.
It's a craziness of a world we live in right now, brother.
It's crazy times,
and we're just all making sense of it. And you seem to be the one that's figuring it out more than most, man.
Man, I got a lot of free time. I mean, I had a lot of free time. The plenty of times I've been just trapped in a hospital room. It's like, man, you get to thinking a lot about shit. Like me personally, I was a piece of crap young kid, arrogant, little self arrogant, type cunt person, I guess you call it. But being able to really sit, reflect, and think about things has completely opened me up to a new perspective in life. And I really hope that my journey, I'm able to show people the different perspectives in life, like not just the physical aspect of being standing one day, sitting the next, but the way people act towards you, the way society as a whole moves towards you. Like, okay, for instance, disabled people, they're not really thought about as often as they are with the the LGBT whatever.
Oh, that
they throw disability pride in there as part of the what you call it. But I think it's bullshit, because I've seen people waving all these colorful flags, but I don't see any of those same people fighting for more parking spots or wider entrances or anything that have to do with the disability part. So it's like, why are we in there? I don't know. But I don't think it's intentional. I think it's a lot of people, we just have busy lives and we don't think about that guy in the wheelchair that's going to struggle coming up this curb. But at the end of the day, it's like some people I've talked to, it's like they don't even give a shit, because they're like, oh man, well, no one in a wheelchair was here when I got here. Well, dickhead, I was right behind you and you just took my parking spot, so now I'm parking way in the back, or whatever have you. Like I was talking to someone earlier, and they were talking about the handicap stalls. It's like, y'all don't understand. I mean, I don't know how it is for other paralyzed people, but if I gotta pee, dude, I gotta pee. My body doesn't care if I'm at a bathroom or not. So if I'm about at the handicap stall and you're sitting there playing on your phone, and once I knock on the door once and you piss me off, look, I'm gonna just go handle my business and do whatever. But some people don't have that luxury or the confidence. I mean, I'll just pull up to a stall and whip my shit out, and I'm Catholic, cool, whatever. But a lot of people, especially younger or fresher into the injury, it's like they don't have the confidence to go pull the stuff out and pee or whatever. Hey, Apollo.
Hey.
So it makes a really difficult way to try to operate throughout the day. Now you have a bunch of anxiety. Oh, am I gonna pee on myself because I can't get in the bathroom? Or am I gonna freaking have to get trapped in a car? I've been trapped in places because people will park too close to my car. If I can't open the door all the way, I'm not getting my chair. My chair doesn't fit. So I've also left plenty of dents and dings on other people's cars for doing that, because the Cadillac, shit, that's a write-off. I don't care. Like we can play paint for paint if y'all want to park next to my stuff, but I just think it's really messed up. But it's like I said, I don't really fault people for it, but I think people should try to be more mindful to say, hey, maybe someone that's already having a harder day, having to deal with a harder life, maybe let me just not make it that extra bit harder,
You know why there's no mention of handicapped people in the LGBT thing? Is because y'all don't complain like they do.
That's the fact.
That's the number one thing. But I tell you what, we're gonna go with part 2. We're gonna do a part 2 of this.
I'm definitely about
this week.
I'm here for it.
We'll talk about that afterwards. But we'll be back with part 2 with Sam Primeaux. Hopefully, when you're free.
Never free, always expensive, but I can make something shake for you.
yeah.
But no, we're definitely gonna do a part 2 for sure.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. I don't know if you got something going on this week.
Well, I keep looking.
You check your phone.
No, we got plenty of time. I got a call, I think Friday. Tomorrow, I don't think I have much going on tomorrow besides therapy. So
after therapy,
we definitely do something.
Yeah. All right, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with Sam Primeaux here at UnWoKeN. Remember, the number 1 podcast in the world for young conservative media. That's a fact. My facts, of course, the only ones that matter anyway. And this guy's facts matter too.